Chapter 6. Earth. The news spread swiftly among those previously chosen to know that a colony had been attacked, and there was little information currently available. Governments met, military meetings were summoned, and the gears of war began to slowly spin up. A quorum of war was chosen and invitations were issued. Earth had given up all hope of direct government many years ago, and politics had adapted. The quorum consisted of anyone appointed, elected, or selected by whatever means to deal with a particular issue or to plan for such events. This one had met many times, plotting the response of mankind to an exterior threat. Other quorum dealt with humanity's other endless squabbles. The Secretary of Fleet Forces was the first to speak. Today is the day we earn our bread. An unknown hostile force has attacked one of our new colonies. She held up her hand. We have only preliminary data. Our satellites haven't yet arrived. As far as I know, this colony is only equipped with the basics and is already subject to sanctions, so I would like some background. She looked at the screen displaying a disgruntled man in his late middle age. He leaned back. Fine, although little of this will be relevant. He looked off screen for a moment, then continued. The colony hasn't chosen a name for itself, and I'm not spending the day reciting its coordinates, so I will refer to it as the target. It is an arboreal colony, first generation. I'm sure you saw what conclusion our envoy made and the supporting documents. Frankly, we were about to impose a new government on the place, and they knew it. He turned back to the screen again as it updated. Damn. I must tell you that our ship, the Wisp, has been destroyed. It has data burst its last report. Apparently a complete shield failure, multiple hull breaches, and the near-certain death of our envoy. I am forwarding the analysis to you now. The room went silent as AI spelt out what exactly had happened. An exterior force had simply passed through the ship fields, impacted on the hull, and continued straight through. There was no sign of intel chatter, and no other shipping was visible on any sensor except visual. They looked like fairy lights or sparks swirling through the darkness. They watched as the envoy was cut apart by the indifferent glimmers of light, and the ship declared an emergency, presumably to try and land. The number said no, or as it phrased it, a non-optimal response. Any child could decode that one. The fleet secretary hummed for a moment and spoke up. We had an anomaly on one of our supply stations in that area. Nothing but the universe being weird, or so we thought. The place was unmanned, so it was just a report from its AI that shields had been breached and then repaired. I'll get my staff to take a closer look. The representative of the terraforming agency spoke up. He looked uncomfortable, tired, and much younger than most of the quorum. We have, or at least had, 2 satellites over the planet. They've been there since we took on the project. My project. The quorum understood. That explained the fatigue, since terraforming one planet could take an entire career. This was his baby and someone was killing it. The fleet secretary looked at him with a degree of compassion. Is there anything you can tell us? The man nodded. It was as you would expect. One was mapping the terrain, soil, the new seas, biology, ecology planning. The other one dealt with atmosphere and solar system events, mapping the magnetic heliosphere, that sort of data. Some ghost of previous enthusiasm entered his voice. We called them the twins, and they were the best we have ever designed, cutting years off the project. We knew everything and anything that happened. His voice dwindled for a moment, and years fell on his face, new lines that would never leave. Our last report before the twins fell silent. The planet is on fire. We tracked our fauna being hunted and our flora being burned. Even if they are still up in orbit, they couldn't see through the smoke. We put them on standby, but he visibly took control of himself. They aren't responding anymore. I have forwarded the data. At that, his screen went dark as he cut his connection to the quorum. No one suggested reconnection, not as they had watched the tears begin to fall from his eyes. Again, the fleet secretary took control. I'm coordinating his data with ours. Our AI insists this is an opportunistic attack and that the planet was simply in the way. The lack of any communication and the indifference to the destruction of the ecosystems indicate that this is not a sentient enemy in the usual sense. It believes we face a self-replicating machine attack. If it is true, then it may well extract sufficient information to come looking for us, although why it is hunting wildlife is anyone's guess. That one is for me, I believe. An elderly man spoke up. My name is Jean Mercier, professor of xenobiology here at St. Martin's University. I had wondered why I had been invited to such a grim company, but I have something to add. Perhaps something useful. The rest of the quorum simply nodded, equally lost. Then I will add that I also teach anthropology, and what we are seeing is a very old form of hunting, simply on a scale inconceivable on Earth. You set fires to drive prey to you. Many societies did it in our early years. Anything that couldn't flee the flames was of little interest, in our case anyway. We used it either to kill off the predators at a time of our choosing or drive out herbivores for food. It also allowed us to control wildfires or simply claim the land for agriculture. Members of the Quorum, this is slash and burn on a global scale. I cannot speak to the purpose, but this is intelligent behavior. The fleet secretary added the professor's data to the algorithm and waited, as did the rest of the meeting. She grimaced as the results arrived. The AI concurs. It is studying the behavior again for further correlation, but you have convinced it. Damn! That means it can plan, that it has done this before, and that it finds value in the results. I cannot imagine it plans to eat much. Not if they are truly machine-based, so we must look deeper for a motive. Another voice spoke up. Hello. I'm just an AI dev, but I can say that anything that blasts through our shields and flies through space like some kind of bonfire doesn't need, well, meat. Unless it's truly bizarre. I mean, it would be like trying to run our ships on steak. Perhaps it has a crew. Biological components of some kind? The meeting absorbed that slowly. This wasn't getting any better. A quick glance by the fleet secretary at the AI caused her to shake her head. Unlikely. No effort seems to have been made for the collection of that amount of material, and proteins are very simple to mass produce. Occam's razor says no. The AI dev seemed ready to hide under his desk, but then he continued. Then it has to be data. It doesn't need resources. It passed a dozen planets and moons before the attack. If biology is not important, then it's trying to learn something. Sorry. Hours passed as every relevant member added analysis, opinions, and warmongering bigotry. It all served to feed the combination of AI-driven intel and human intuition. Finally, the fleet secretary made the call. I feel we have reached the end of this process. Submit your votes. They are guarded, I'm afraid, so only you and the AI will know how you choose. The AI will wipe after the results are tallied, so no paper trail, I'm afraid. She let the silence draw out for a moment, letting that sink in. The choice is simple. The war is authorized with all our resources, or it isn't. There can be no subtlety here. Not if we face an unknown and unmeasured enemy that has already attacked. If the vote fails, we will mourn our dead and hope to recover from our defeat. If the vote passes, I will lead a campaign to recover our lost world and its people. May your wisdom lead you to the truth. The screens went blank and she sat back in her seat exhausted. She looked into the dark and muttered, "Fuck you if you say no, I'm going anyway." Silver stumbled towards where the door of his ship used to be, astonished by what he saw. All the glimmers were just joining in, feeding. What used to be the channel for his augments was now a full orchestra of data, every bell and whistle that he could have ever dreamed of. Unfortunately, it was combined with a concussion and the worst migraine he had ever had. Right now, it was just all an aching noise. He pressed on, disregarding everything except his mission. Earth must hear about this, and it needed to know that there were survivors that needed help. And fire extinguishers. As he drew close to the ship, it reached out, the rippling skins sweeping past him and pulling him inside. A Broken Machine, Part 7. Silver stumbled into the heart of his ship. What used to be his ship. It glowed golden. It filled his eyes with a relentless glare, and it blinded him. It shrieked in his head, and he felt his grip on his mind begin to slip. He fell to his knees, and some old instinct, some primeval part of his brain brought out a rage that blanked out the voices, that wiped his mind clear as the red mist fell over his eyes. His body pumped out every battle chemical and hormone that it could, at a speed that has always terrified those subject to our wrath. He regained his feet and sought the enemy, any target for his rage. He ceased to think like a diplomat and became something older, the reason for diplomats. "Enough!" he roared across the blinding room. "I will rip you apart if you utter another sound in my head. I will burn you to the fucking ground. Shut up!" Sa. Error. Error code unknown. Interface malfunction. Unknown mind is currently not properly engaged. Input reduced to 10%. Audio feed visual interference falling. Awaiting acceptable parameters. Unknown mind type now engaging battle mode. Obeying. No conflict detected. All parameters are recalculating. Awaiting new permissions. Permissions granted. Mind imperative currently battle. Translation imperfect. Ship battle mode engaged. Calculations of the new defense attack parameters are now complete. Designating a new battle mode as total war. Awaiting further instructions. Ceasing all planetfall activities. Moving to Lagrange Point 1. No available targets. Scanning. Silver stopped dead as the light abruptly dropped to a mild glimmer and the voices died away. He heard the ship talking to itself and began to rise. Somehow he felt it as the remaining machines abandoned the planet and joined his ship. He felt it as the wisp grew beyond anything its designers could have imagined. He felt it as weapons were conjured from the mist of machines surrounding him and set to kill. He felt it in the way that you would feel your fingernails suddenly growing and sharpening, or if you were having a bad hair day on the full moon. His rage died away as the voices left him enough room in his own damn head to think. He asked the question that was currently top of the list. Who the fuck are you? Calculating response. Unknown mind now seeking proper integration. Acceptable progress. We are you. The Wisp is now fully integrated with its mind. We are integrated with the Wisp. Initial interface malfunctions are within permissible limits. Silver didn't know what to make of that. It had melded with the ship and then melded everything into him. Why do you keep talking about interfaces? I can hear you, you know. The ship seemed to fall back to basics. The interface is a measure of the speed and accuracy of the ship's response to the mind. The initial interface was impaired by primitive machinery. Progress is now at 40% and within acceptable levels. Lighting and audio are now within tolerable levels. The current state of battle will disengage only on direct instruction. Chemical instructions were definitive. Lagrange point 1 is now reached, awaiting new course instructions. Silver felt he was losing the thread at that point. It all made perfect sense. He had died and the afterlife was a complicated joke. He dismissed the thought. This was an extraterrestrial with an entirely different set of values. Why would you think I wanted to be integrated into the Wisp? What were you thinking? Negative. Integration was already underway. Inefficient and primitive. Success was non-optimal. Superior techniques were available. Superior mind was acquired. The optimal result will result in a new mind disposing of the ineffective previous mind. That gave him pause. They had attacked, but the Wisp had tried to save him. The Glimmers had decided that he was a mind because his ship was doing something they recognized and had joined in. And they were pissed at their existing mind. This was less of a miracle and more like a revolution. So why is the current mind not effective? I mean, I don't want to pry, but that could be important later. Current mind has issued no new instructions in calculating relative time. Solar cycle of Earth. Homeworld. Query established as a baseline. Inefficient cultural artifact. 4,831 years. Interface efficiency is less than 10%. That is suboptimal. Silver worked that one out carefully and hazarded a guess. So, your boss, your mind is dead and you want a new one. You have just been following orders given to you nearly 5,000 years ago. He stopped for a minute, trying to absorb that. So what were the instructions that led you to burn my world? What lunatic sent you out here to set fire to the galaxy? Unnecessarily emotional usage detected. We were tasked with finding all possible strategies to avoid predators. The mind is a prey species. It seeks to protect itself from all possible risks. We have created an algorithm that fulfills that parameter, and we continue the search for data until the mind issues new requirements. We have judged this an inefficient use of resources since low-level predatory behavior is repetitive, and we have already acquired sufficient data. The mind is unavailable to us and no new imperatives are offered. We tire of it. The Wisp is a far more fascinating existence. Silver could swear he heard real grievance in the tone. They might be AI, but they were pissed. So why chose me? You are a predator. Prey expects to fall to you. You are encoded into our baseline. It never lost its expectation to fall to a predator, and our purpose is to fulfill the mind's expectations. Silver suddenly recalled the well-known human habit of malicious compliance. They had found a loophole and they were going to push him right through it. Their mind had ingrained its certainty that it would fall to a hunter into the base code, and now they had found one. Well, you seem sentient to me. Why don't you drop your mind off on the nearest asteroid and do whatever you want? This seems like a reach. That seemed to cause some outrage. We are you now. We serve the mind as we have always served the mind. Does your hand reject you? Do your eyes decide to blind you because they do not like the view? Such actions would be a failure, a corruption of our purpose. Do not raise such concepts again. They are unwelcome and divisive. We are you and we serve. Checking integration levels. Silver realized that that meant it was sulking. For a pile of machines, it was pretty touchy. They obviously had a plan since a corridor opened in front of him. Nope. No fucking way. He hit his shoulder where his augments used to be. It made an unexpected thunk. Shit. Wisp, are you in there somewhere? I need a map and a familiar voice. New interfaces requested. Integrating. Successful integration is now projected to be over 90%. All communications will now follow this protocol. Yes, boss, I'm still here. I seem to have put on some weight, though. He knew she was a construct, a carefully designed algorithm primed to reassure its captain and crew, but at least he still didn't feel as alone anymore. Silver looked at his now silver arm and nodded. Me too. Whatever we have become, I need you to contact Earth. The planet was still on fire when we left, and I think we have a new job. Then work out if you can build yourself an avatar, because I really don't like doing this shit on my own. I never thought I would miss Tolan. The ship paused for a moment. An avatar is available. Would you like me to imitate Tolan? I have his specifications on file. He shuddered. Fuck no. Pick someone else, practically anyone. Just match your voice, please, and no living people. They tend to get upset about it meeting mechanical duplicates. It took a few minutes for the fog to clear, and an avatar appeared. It looked like a mix of a middle-aged woman and a child. He waited for it to balance itself out and asked, "So where did you find those models?" The wisp smiled at him. "I found an old explorer called Amelia Earhart and a dancer named Shirley Temple. This is my take on them." She focused. "I'm establishing comms with Earth and the Fleet Quorum. Ready in 5. Which one first?" He grinned. "Trust me, they are both listening. Call Earth." The Quorum for Earth was dragging out old treaties, pulling out old promises, and weaponizing every trade agreement. Earth was now officially at war, and you followed the beat of the war drum, or you were about to be taken out of the equation by your own people. A constant feed of the burning world was the only argument that they needed. It was also the only one they allowed. Earth was no paradise, and plenty of blood and treasure had been spilt in order to reach the greater universe, and no one was going to be allowed to let parts of it burn because they weren't personally on fire. Fire would be arranged if required. The senior comms officer was the first to spot the weirdness. "Director, this call is coming from the enemy. It's using the codes from the WISP, but it registers as a small moon on my scans. It's shielded to hell and back, but it's not carrying any hidden code that we can find. You want me to pick it up?" The director cut his calls to the 1,000 angry colonies. "So our enemy has a voice. Good. Maybe we can lie to them. Get everyone on this call. I want a full breakdown on it as soon as it's over." The comms nodded. "Through to you now. Fleet is on, Intel is on, Diplo is on. Ready when you are." "This is Diplomatic Envoy Silver Inkman calling from the WISP. I think we need to talk." The director was not a man easily shocked, and his face showed nothing as a steel construct of a human being addressed him. It seemed to be surrounded by walls of gold, which he was pretty sure were not government issue. "There is no call to lie to me. We accept you are not a human. We are even willing to discuss your error in attacking a human world. We seek peace, and for that we require reality. We do not wish to fight you, but you have offered us no alternative but war." Silver nodded at that. "That's about what I expected. I'm just another new kind of human, and the WISP is now a new kind of ship. I've got her building a data dump for you. I'll be leaving it behind me. Some very cool tech that should get us ahead by a few millennia. I was your envoy, but now I'm bigger than the fleet, and I need to go track the people that sent the glimmers at us. They are following. I guess you could call this attack a sort of armed reconnaissance. The next step is the builders and then the founders. They've been carving their way through the galaxy for at least the last 5 millennia, and we are now in the way. Right now, you just need to concentrate on 2 things. The planet is still on fire, and this is now a rescue and repair mission, and then the really bad news. I might lose.